We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. This is Cheryl from Dja country. G'day everyone and welcome to episode 93 of the Beyond 90 podcast. My name is Cheryl Downs. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm really delighted to have you listening to us either tonight or if you're listening on delayed via subscription to our podcast as well. Alongside with me today, we've got number one, a very special guest in Aoife Colvill has joined us from Scotland in Glasgow. I'm assuming that's roughly where you are. So Thank you very much for joining us.
No, thank you for having me.
Welcome. And I've also got the regular crew minus Eric, who's been banned for 1 week. He received a red card in the last game. Not really. That's not what happened. But we've got Steffen, Madge and Dale, while Eric is out there doing some NPLW football commentary. So good on you, Eric. Get out there and have a, hopefully it's a great game and hopefully you're warm and you've got some good food in front of you, which is also one of the main things. How is everyone doing this week? Madge, how about you? Did you start off watching a game in the rain?
Yeah, I went to the Raw Men. It's been raining all sort of long weekend here in Brisbane. So, and up at Redcliffe, there's not many places in the stadium with any cover. So pretty much everyone was sitting there in the rain. So it was Aoife would probably be very familiar playing football in Scotland with the amount of rain we've had this weekend. But you know what? Kind of made it fun when you get drenched watching the football.
Well, there's been plenty of rain around. Dale, has it eased up a little bit maybe in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, it's been lovely actually. We had a really, really nice weekend of weather here, except for probably about half an hour during the late games on the weekend. The game that I covered this weekend was Bankstown City versus Sydney Olympic, and for probably about 20 minutes in the second half, like to the point where you can barely see the other side of the pitch on the video. It was absolutely torrential, but yeah, it's been much better here.
A little bit short of rain in New South Wales, so good to hear you getting some. Steffen, in Canberra, I was close to Canberra. I wasn't in Canberra over the weekend, but it seemed to be lovely weather in and around where I was, and hopefully you got some good football under your belt as well.
Yeah, I did, thanks. Played in one game, got out to a couple others.
Played in a game, walking football?
No, 55s, trying to. My knees holding me back a little, but I'm giving it a go. So yeah, it's good fun. Thank you. It's good to get back in the normal swing of things after the massive couple of weeks we had with Chili's and Young Chili's. So yeah.
Very good. And then Aoife, hopefully you're having a good week so far. You did say off air that you've just in isolation at the moment as you're prepping to get yourself off to hospital to get a bit of a fix up, which we'll talk about throughout the pod as well.
Yeah, mostly been inside, so I'm not out in the cold, but the weather's actually warming up because we're coming in summer, so it's going to be good.
Very good. All right. Well, let's start off with what we normally start off in with our podcast is we talk about the Matilda who wears the cap, which coincides with the episode that we're talking about. So today we're talking about episode 93, which coincide with Matilda's cap number 93, Tammy Thornton. So shout out to you, Tammy. I don't know if you're listening. We'd love to have a chat to all of the Matildas who have worn all of those caps, but in this case, I haven't been organised. Debuted for the Matildas back in 1996 and played through to 1997. But during that time was actually successful in playing 19 A internationals plus an additional non-A international, 20 matches across two years. I don't think is a bad rap, to be honest, because there are some years that are pretty lean with the amount of games that we have. Her grassroots club was Stratford, yep, that's right, Utd Dolphins, which also is the home or the grassroots club of Eesh Ferguson. So it's a little bit of nice history there to have two such top players come from there. She's from Cairns, which is a nice little tie-in that we have with Aoife as well, because you were born in Cairns, is my understanding, even though you find yourself at the moment playing in Scotland, but playing internationally, you've played for the Republic of Ireland.
Yeah, born in Cairns, grew up there, spent 15 years there.
and then weirdly found yourself at Canberra United Academy and Canberra United. But again, we'll come back to that. And I'll just finish off quickly with the rest of the stuff for Tammie. Tammie played in the US. She also played in England with Queen's Park Rangers and, of all places, Chelsea. So it's not just the Sam Kerr show. Back in the day, we had Tammie playing out there as well. So congratulations, Tammie, on your Matildas caps. We're very pleased and proud to talk about you and some of the history that you've contributed to the wonderful game that we see now in front of us. And yeah, I hope your journey just continues on. And I believe you're still giving back to football. So that's lovely to hear as well. All right, let's get on to some fantastic and fun stuff to talk about today. We've got Aoife Colvill, as I mentioned. Now, Aoife, you were born in Cairns, but because you find yourself playing for the Republic of Ireland, you've got a bit of the half-half mix. And I was quite surprised to chat with you and see that you've got a bit of a Scottish accent, which has really thrown me. But you spent so much of your time in Australia. You also played for the junior Matildas. I'm just having a quick look in 2019. At what point did you have this thought about allegiance to Australia or to the Republic of Ireland, given the opportunity that your parents have given you?
To be honest, ever since I was a little girl, like I've always grown up wanting to play for the Matildas. Like it was never really something I thought about until I moved over here. And it turns out that the coach I had previously, Scott Booth, he was quite good friends with Vera, the coach of the Irish women's national team. And he basically got in touch with her and said, maybe have a look at Aoife. She's eligible to play for Ireland. And I think just I always knew the possibility was there. In terms of my mum and that half of the family. And I think I do have a very strong connection with that side of my family. And I am proud to be of both Aussie and Irish. But yeah, I think when the opportunity came, I gave it a good crack and I couldn't really say no. I had a really enjoyable first camp with them, and that was kind of just to test the waters and see like if it was something I wanted to pursue. And when I say it was not an easy decision, it really wasn't, because you're just always like, what if? But I think for me as a player and as a person, like I think it was a good decision.
Yeah, I think it's a great decision. I mean, you couldn't go wrong either way, really, could you? And that's the thing. It's 100% right one way and it's 100% right the other way. And it's amazing to be. I can only imagine what it would be like to represent your country for international football. So wonderful stuff. I suppose the other thing that we should just briefly touch on, because it doesn't define you as a player, but you had an unfortunate accident or incident a couple of weeks ago and you've done your ACL. Can you talk us through that a little bit and talk about the recovery process, which I imagine you've already started, even though you've not had the surgery?
Yeah. Well, initially they messed up my reading. So I went for an MRI, obviously, and the radiologist said it was just a partial tear. And they said that it would just be 3 months. I wouldn't need operation. Like I would be back in like over summer. And then the physio at the club, who'd done a really good job, she booked me in with a surgeon. And we had a consultation, and he obviously just looked at the results and was like, no, I think if you want to play football like professionally again, like we would probably want to operate. Hearing that was not nice. But then again, like there's also the other side of it, and you're thinking like a partial tear, you could do all the rehab in the world, and then after 3 months come back and then you tear it completely, and then that's another 9 months like to go. So I think in that sense, I'm quite like happy just to get the operation done, and then 9 months recovery. But yeah, I should be running after three months, and then after like 6 I should be back like on the sidelines of training and that. So I'm remaining quite positive. So
yeah, that definitely comes through. It's great to have a positive mindset, and I think through the other players that we've seen go through this process, that the positivity will help them ultimately get back out there and get ready for football as soon as possible. And hopefully you're getting all the support that you need at the club and with the people around the club as well. I think that's another important point. We had Chids on, Alex Chidiac, on the podcast, must have been a couple of months ago now, and she talked about the injury that she was carrying when she was away and how hard it was to get the support that she needed. But hopefully at Glasgow City you're getting that, and whether or not the Republic of Ireland medical team stay in contact at all, I'm not sure if they do that for people outside of the camps. But I will say that Glasgow City have been doing fantastically in the Scottish Women's Premier League as well, and to that point I think you'd been doing super well as well. You'd been on the score sheet a number of times. Is Glasgow City sitting second or third at the moment?
Second. It's coming to the end of the season, and it's getting quite tight. We've got a title decider in 2 weeks against Rangers, so I might not even be able to be there, but I'm hoping I will be. But as you said, Glasgow City, they've been great, from day one, and it also helps because I know this is another girl on the team, Jo Love, very experienced footballer, ex-Scottish women's player. She's also done hers, so we're kind of in it together. It's on that side of it, it's good.
Oh, well, hopefully all goes well, and hopefully all goes well for Glasgow City as well. We do follow them. So every week that we have the podcast, we go through the results, and this is where Eric and I have a bit of argy-bargy, and he says, she's not really an Australian. I'm like, she is, because she's played here. You've got family from here, and to be honest, it doesn't matter because we just love talking about women's football. And Eric loves you as well. Don't get me wrong. I think he just loves messing with me in particular, but probably messing with everyone on the podcast. Dale, what are your thoughts? How much does Eric like messing with us? And have you got a couple of questions for Aoife as well?
Eric constantly frustrates and annoys all people of all persuasions. He's actually out calling a women's game tonight. So, dedicated to the craft. Aoife, I know obviously you were saying that it wasn't an easy decision to represent the Republic. Obviously, that's something that a lot of Australians are kind of looking at doing now. We see Vesna Milivojevic, who's moved across to play for Serbia. We've seen Claudia Chalakian, who's just been capped for Armenia. Do you think that as we move closer to the World Cup, especially for, diaspora communities, do you think that we'll see more kind of, fringe young and junior Matildas looking overseas to potentially make the World Cup?
Possibly. I think, as I said, the opportunity came, and I was obviously hesitant, but then also really grateful that I've been given the opportunity. And sometimes when opportunities come, you've got to take them with both hands. And so I think when it comes to a World Cup, then that's once in a lifetime kind of thing. So if you had the opportunity to play in a World Cup, and you had affiliations obviously with the country, and as long as I believe every time you put on that shirt or are in that environment, you're happy and you're proud to be there, then I think definitely you might see a little bit more. But I think if those players or had the opportunity to play in a World Cup, I think everyone would love to do that. So
I know the Republic are pretty well placed at this point to at least make the playoffs. Was that something that figured into your decision to potentially look to play in what would be for you a home World Cup?
To be honest, it was probably in the back of my mind. But in terms of Ireland as a squad, when I first initially got invited, we had a couple of friendlies in Iceland, and I think that was just my focus, just to see if I could even break into that squad, because there's no guarantees at the end of the day. It's a tough environment. Every international squad is a challenge. So I think for me, just the focus was to try and break myself into that team. And as you probably know, I only went once and then got a few injuries, and now I'm out for 9 months. So I think that possibility of maybe going to a World Cup on home soil, regardless of like say if Ireland did make it, is looking quite slim. But I think I'll be there regardless. And especially if Scotland make it as well, because I've got heaps of friends that play for the team, and I think I'll be there supporting them. So
once it's just a start, you'll keep motoring on, just get the little niggle fixed up. That's what we call ACLs, just a little niggle.
Just a little niggle.
Yes, Aoife, just going on from that, Eric sort of asked the technical questions. Was there any issue or did you have to do anything extra to, I guess, change your nationality, given that you had been involved with the young Matildas before, or was there a sort of a distinction between the junior and the senior rep?
Yeah, there was. I had to send a change of association to FIFA, and I think once that happened, then that's kind of like the final thing. But like me going into camp, that was just to test the waters and see if I got along with the players and the coach and the rest of that. And I think once I was invited and once I went, I just knew it was the right decision. And yeah, so I had to send the letter. Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe if we go back to the start, so you grew up in Cairns. So, I mean, I guess what were your memories of football from being a kid? What got you into the game, and then and then how did you get from far north Queensland to the Canberra United Academy?
Oh, mate, Cairns, what a place! Love it. I would love to go back now. I think the town's probably changed so much. Yeah, so I played for a team called Edge Hill Tigers. We did verse Tammie's team on occasion.
That's good to know that team's still around, because they're not always still around. So yeah.
No,
well, I'm actually not sure if they're still kicking, but I played for Edge Hill. Great like grassroots, and I played with the boys. So obviously there was probably not many girls at that age. I used to do ballet, and then I kind of quit that because I thought football was more fun. But yeah, always been playing football. Dad introduced me to a ball when I was like 4. So yeah, I think Edge Hill Tigers, then went to F&Q, which there was like a grassroots kind of COE program that they kick-started, and that grew into fun F&Q Heat. Eventually, I think it was called COE, and then we used to verse like Townsville, Mackay. Like we used to travel all around Queensland. And then I think it was Dialaditch actually moved to Cairns and came to a few of our sessions. She was helping out as a coach, and then she actually mentioned that she had some connections in Canberra, and that's kind of how that started. And I think I should probably pay all my respects to Di for initiating that, because probably would never have been able to get down to Canberra. So she got in touch with Ray Dowler down there, and then I drove down with my dad and kicked around at one of the Canberra United sessions. I was like 15. I was so nervous. And then she said she had no space for a player in the Canberra United Academy that year. So then I played for Belconnen for a year against them, and then moved over to the dark side, and then it kind of kick-started from there. So
excellent. Should have known Ray Dow was involved there somewhere else as well.
Yeah, she was.
Speaking of Ray Dower, Steffen, did you manage to catch up with Ray at the Football Writers Festival last week or whenever that was? Time flies with me.
Yeah, Ray was definitely there in the room, but I didn't get a chance to speak to her. No, sorry. But so Aoife, while we're talking about your time in Canberra and playing for Belco, I didn't get a chance to see you play for Belco, but I was lucky enough to be at several of your 2018 Canberra United Academy games. And that was an amazing year for you, where you bagged 42 goals in 19 games. And after that, you had a couple of seasons with Canberra United in the W League, but you only saw limited match time. So how do you look back on your time there at Canberra United now?
The W League time or I look back at it fondly, and also I look back and I'm like, I think I don't know. Yeah, I think it definitely kickstarted my career as a footballer and like my journey into professional football. And as I said, I learnt the hard way. I think I got played in left back for the first season I was there, and then the second season was injured for most of it, and then the third season I think I got one game. And I think that after that season, I think I just needed a fresh start. And I think at that point I wasn't enjoying football. I wasn't enjoying playing. I think sometimes it's important to get out of that mentality, out of the mindset of like, I don't know. I think I lost a lot of confidence in myself as a player. So I think it was just important to get back playing and playing like good and playing consistently, because I think that's how a player grows, is if you actually are playing, especially at a young age. So yeah.
With that confidence, sorry, just to jump in, everyone, but is that something that the club actively supports you in? And we look at the professional environments around the Matildas or the A-League women's clubs or in the clubs that you're playing with now as well. Do they have someone who does that professional support of the psychological aspects of the players, not just the whether or not it's the physical or the tactical or the skill based? Because the psychological element is such a major part of getting the best out of the players as well and enjoying the game.
Yeah. I think in terms of Australia, I think the PFA done huge works like with all the W League clubs at the time, and like I couldn't give a bigger shout out to Erin Clout, because she worked tirelessly with that side of it, like the psychology side of it, and now I think she's moved up the ranks in the PFA. But yeah, she was our PDM for a few years, and like came to our sessions, and she was that person you could go to about anything, speak to about anything. And I think in terms of that, on this side of the water, we have a very close connection with Glasgow City with mental health, and there's quite a big history at the club of supporting people that have not issues, but like anything really. We're sponsored by Breathing Space, which is a mental health organisation as well. So I think there's always been, in my personal journey, there's always been that support. So
that's terrific. Cool. Sorry, I'll throw back to Steffen. Sorry about that.
I'm curious about where you regained your confidence, Aoife. Was it at Sydney University, or was it a bit later?
No, I think Sydney University actually, that was probably the tipping point for me in terms of playing in Sydney. I think that was a point that I wasn't enjoying football, and I think I struggled a lot that year actually. So yeah, I think that was probably it was enjoyable being away from home and like experiencing that side of it, and I wouldn't change that for the world. And I'm sure the Sydney Uni setup now is brilliant, but as you know, like not every club is going to be right for you, not every team, not every coach. Some coaches are going to be better than others at or like have a better relationship with others. So I think definitely Sydney Uni was a time that I probably would look back on and go, I would like to change how it was, kind of thing. But yeah, I definitely grew a lot that year.
Thank you. I've got one more Canberra-oriented question.
No worries.
You told the Canberra Times in middle of last year that you'd like to come back to the A-League women's competition at some point. I think you said that you'd like to get a couple of years in Europe under your belt and maybe come back to the competition. Is that still a goal of yours?
100%. Yeah, always has it in the back of my mind. Like, I feel like I have unresolved stuff with the W League and so like the A League now. I think I would love to come and make a mark. I think that is something that I never did as a young player, and I think just realizing, kind of growing up, maturing as a player, realizing what positions I like playing, and and all of that, and it's definitely not left back, I'll tell you that for free. So yeah, I think definitely 100% I would love to come back.
And to be fair, we like to call it the dub. We don't really like to call it A-League Women's.
Yeah.
It's a bit pants.
Sorry.
So
It's very official. We don't like that kind of stuff.
When you come back, just keep calling it the dub, and we'll see if we can't turn the tide. But I don't know. Sometimes we slip up into that proper language for the good old football stuff. What about you, Madge? Have you got? Oh, sorry. Keep going.
No, sorry. I still see it as W League. So yeah, that's fine by me.
Yeah. So I guess what was the catalyst for the move overseas, and how did that come about? How did you end up at Glasgow City?
Well, as we know, Rachel Corsi played for Canberra United for a season, and I guess it wasn't until a year after that actually, and I was just thinking about places I could go, and like I had done a bit of research on the Scottish national, like the league over here, and I'd watched a few games like from Celtic and that, and I knew that they were starting to invest in their league and in their teams, and obviously Glasgow City came up then, and I spoke to Grace Gill, and I was just like, just had a chat with her, and she was just like, do it. And then I messaged Rachel Corsi, and then I'm not realizing what would happen, or like didn't really have it much like expectations. I just flung a message and was like, look, what's the Scottish League like? And she's obviously played here when she was younger, and played for Glasgow City as well, so she's very close with Laura Montgomery as well. So she sent me her email, and then kind of happened within 3 weeks. I had my flights booked and I was off.
Wow. You got a career as being an agent in your future.
Yeah. Well, I still don't actually have one, so I must be doing all right.
Yeah.
Oh, we can connect you with Fatty if you need the services.
Maybe Rachel can take a cut of the next signing fee as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Good call.
Yeah.
All right. Continue with the questions, everyone. Dale, you got one? No, Dale's done.
All questioned.
Steffen?
What do you like to do outside of football, Aoife?
Oh, coffee. I love coffee. Yeah. Coffee.
Sounds like you could be from Melbourne. There you go.
Yeah,
I found my Victorian
that
connection.
I think that's a very Australian footballer
very Canberra United take. I like coffee.
Stereotypical, but it's true. There's also not much you can do when it's really wet and the weather's freezing, so a good cup of coffee can save you sometimes. So yeah,
I think
there's no
one of the
beaches
questions.
Well, there is beaches, but it's freezing. So
yeah, one of the questions that people like to ask is around the differences between the different leagues in the world, and that there are so many and they grow at different rates and improve at different rates as well. What are a couple of key things that you would call out as maybe the differences between the dub and the Scottish Women's Premier League, and also maybe what you think is changing more rapidly in Scotland's football or Scottish Women's Premier League football as opposed to what you had last seen in Australia anyway?
Yeah, obviously I can't speak for W League because I've not seen it for a few years, but from when I left, I think the levels of professionalism we're getting there, like it was very good. And I think in terms of when I came to Scotland, when I first came here, I would say it was probably a step down in that regard in terms of facilities and whatnot. But then since I've been here and since 2 years now, the club has grown so much, and like the investment in the players and especially like the league as well, like other teams in the league. Obviously not everyone is considered professional. So there's still a few, and I think that is probably the biggest difference from the W League to here is so I think that is growing and it's going to continue to grow, and I think next season here is going to be even better because they're doing a split, so it's full home and away like times 3, and then you
Oh,
splits.
stop it. Stop it.
It's the dream. That's what we
in.
want. 3 full rounds.
It creates such a good, like, I don't know, like, I've never played in a competition as, especially the last 2 years, as tight and as competitive. And I think that's what makes it's so good. And I think being at Glasgow City and trying to like uphold their values and especially their achievements, like 14 years in a row, and this year we fighting for 15, like it's class. Like it's an experience that I'll be grateful for forever. So, and also Champions League and Cups. I think that.
Yeah, I was going to say the point that you make around like improvement of facilities. I remember there was a story, I think it was the year before last, City won the league and there was a kind of an uproar is probably the wrong word, but there was a lot of talk about the fact that effectively that won the league in a park, there wasn't really any facilities. And now obviously you've got kind of bigger teams, you know, the traditional old firm derbies on the last day of the season. You guys are playing Rangers, you know, in a couple of weeks. And you're seeing these kind of traditional men's teams, Aberdeen, Celtic, Glasgow, and Rangers, of course. You putting in more effort. It's really good to see, and obviously there's a few changes with the way the Champions League's working. So like there's a lot more competition, but as you say, like the rising tide with full boats, which has been really, really positive to see.
Yeah, as you said, like it's just been a few weeks, and Rangers played at Pittodrie Stadium, the men's stadium, and they've just played at Ibrox last week, and Celtic played Hibs at their park, and that's phenomenal in itself. And getting like fans there as well, like that's like growing beyond what I think anyone could have imagined too, even like 5 years ago. So I think the rate at which the Scottish League is growing is awesome. So.
That's a good question to my mind anyway, about the fans, not necessarily in terms of numbers, but in terms of the engagement and their understanding of football. Madge, I know that you're heavily involved in Matildas Active, of course, and, you know, they are the most passionate group of football fans, at least at that Matildas international level. Do you see in the Scottish Women's Premier League that the fans are different or the same? Is it volume, or is it noise, or is it chants, or is there anything in the game that you think is different?
I wouldn't say different. I'd say Glasgow City it's like a family kind of thing. Like the supporters that have supported Glasgow City have been there for a number of years, like well before I came. Like they are a family, and it was a club built on volunteers, and so I think in that sense it's a community. And I think in terms of that, there's probably some similarities between that and Canberra United, and both women's clubs run by the women. And like I think in terms of that, like I think so. But when you go to bigger clubs like Rangers and Celtic, they've obviously got a lot of history, and just recently actually the Rangers girls got the Union Bears, which support the men, so they had chants throughout the whole game. And even that for a female match is unreal, like just getting them fans. And especially I think in terms of Rangers and Celtic, like it is quite a historical game, and I think if Rangers and Celtic were to play at either of the parks, like I think they would get some amount of fans. So I think it would be really good. So
very good. We had maybe a couple of last quick questions from Eric, and these are what he has titled, because he's given us our homework, quick light-hearted questions. Best player you've ever played with?
Oh, probably Denise O'Sullivan.
Oh my God, he is going to love that.
He'll like that answer.
Because I don't know if you know, Aoife, but Eric actually has a tattoo. I don't know how you would rate this on the weirdness scale, but he has a tattoo of Denise O'Sullivan. I'm not sure if it's the only footballing tattoo that he has. I don't know if anyone knows.
Maybe Eric will like me now after that answer.
I'm sure he always likes you. He just likes to poke the bear when if I say something's black, he'll say it's white. If it's blue, he'll say it's green or whatever. So it's no, he definitely likes you. Best player you've played against?
Ooh, Oh, you really tested me. Probably for 10 minutes against Wolfsburg, Pernille Harder.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Yep.
God.
And watching her in that game was unreal. She was on fire, man. So yeah, probably.
Oh,
her.
that's an experience. Who is your dream teammate?
Oh. To be honest, I think I've played with some pretty cool people. And I wouldn't say maybe actually Sam Kerr. Let's just say that.
Yep.
Probably her. I feel like I'd learn a lot. And I'd happily sit on a bench, like if I got to train with her and that. So I think, yeah. But I think I've played with some pretty cool people. And yeah. I think,
There is a Samantha Kerr in the Scottish Women's Premier League, or is she in another league? I can't remember. So there's Sam Kerr, our Sammy, and then there's Samantha Kerr.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. She plays for Rangers, used to play for Glasgow City. So I've played with her for just like a year, just under a year. So
there you go. You're almost there. Hardest working teammate?
Oh, it's a hard one. Like currently or back?
Any which way. Last person off the field because they're, still doing whatever practice they wanted to, or
probably one of my good friends from Canberra, Laura Hughes. She'd still be running if she could, I think. So yeah, probably her.
Terrific. And then I think we're getting to the end, but funniest teammate?
Oh God. Denise is pretty funny.
Have you got a little Denise anecdote that you can share with us? And then we'll say, oh, Eric, we had the greatest chat about Denise with Aoife.
I would say, well, to be honest, right now, I'd probably say in my team, Niamh Farrelly plays in the Ireland team as well. She's quite close with Denise. I think it's just the Irish accent, to be honest.
I was going to say that, and I thought maybe I shouldn't, but you said it.
No,
so there we go.
I think it is. Yeah, it is. It just makes stories even better.
Yeah, very nice. And then the last question that we've got before we roll on to the other stuff of the podcast, who was the biggest coach's pet, or is there such a thing? This is Eric's question. I don't know.
Biggest coach's pet. Oh, she's going to hate me if I say this.
This sounds like a question that gets you in trouble.
That's what I was just thinking. I've read it out and I'm like, oh, Eric, I think this is danger. We'll let you hold that one if you want.
Yeah, I think I will.
All right. Aoife's going to stick around with us for a while just as we talk about the hot topics throughout the week and then some results from around the world. So I've been away. I've been pretty much offline, a little bit off grid, so I don't have a lot of news in our hot topics. But number one, FIFA published its first ever guide to club licensing in women's football, which I think is a really good thing. And they're sort of building the whole women's football space with not only this, but I think transfers were on the map a while ago. They've been looking a lot about women's pathways. So I think this is good news. We can discuss it if you want, but I was just going to keep on going. The other thing I saw on Twitter just before is it looks like there was a junior Matildas announcement in Adelaide today about some facilities. So congratulations to the junior Matildas if they've got some top facilities around there. But maybe if we swing around the world now, Dale, I don't know if you would like to take us through the results of the FAWSL, where we're up to round 20 of 22. So we're getting pretty close to the end. And Aoife, jump in anytime you want to say, oh, that was a shite game or something.
Okay.
So we'll start off with the FAWSL. Aston Villa 0, Manchester United 0. Emily Gilnick started for the Villains and got 67 minutes before being replaced. Everton 0, Arsenal 3. Everton's season goes from bad to worse as Dale goes further and further into therapy. Caitlin Ford with a 43rd minute goal started and got 65 minutes. Steph Catley got a 90-minute run from the start, and Lydia Williams was on the bench, unfortunately. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Chelsea 3. Kai Simon started and was replaced on 68 minutes. Sam Kerr also started, got 90 minutes and scored in the 71st. And Katrin Berger was sent off in the 33rd minute.
Yeah, what happened? I didn't see that.
I haven't seen it, but I do know that Sophie Ingle scored an own goal in the 15th minute, which was Spurs' only score of the match. Reading 1, West Ham 2. Tamiki Allop got 32 minutes off the bench and Mackenzie Arnold started. She got 90 minutes. No goal for Tats Dowie in that game, so big sad all dub fans. Manchester City 4, Leicester City 0. Leicester not in danger of the drop at this stage. There are, as we were saying, only a couple of results to go. Alana Kennedy did get 90 minutes from the start in that one, and Hayley Rasso was an unused sub.
How's Alana's nose? Anyone know?
Still wearing the mask. Most of the team have had the customary meme Instagram post, which we like to encourage. But yeah, lots of Batman and Robin, lots of Zorro, lots of Masked Avenger. We love the meme content. Please keep it coming, Manchester City players. I know you're all listening. So the last game of the round was Brighton and Hove Albion 1, Birmingham 3. No Australians in this game, no Kiwis either, unfortunately. Obviously, with Rhea Percival out for Spurs, no Kiwis in the league at this point. Former Kiwi team, for a team of the Kiwi rather, Rebecca Stott going down against Birmingham. It was Birmingham's first league win since January of this year, which was 2-0 against Arsenal. And it was their first away league win since the 15th of November of 2020. So Birmingham still in the drop zone at this stage. Only one team goes down from the English League. But yeah, as I said, still in the drop zone there. We move on to the Scottish Women's Premier League.
Just wanted to say, if you want to see a highlight from the WSL this week, is Jessie Fleming's absolute rocket.
I saw that.
Chelsea against Tottenham. It was just
She's very good at football.
Yes. That's basically all I saw of WSL. That's all I needed to see.
We will come on to more bangers in the results. Obviously, with Aoife here, not playing at the moment, but Glasgow City 2, Hearts of Midlothian 0. Means that Glasgow City makes their 15th straight Women's Champions League campaign, which is pretty incredible. I think you guys go into the prelims, which will be pretty interesting. I know that you guys played slightly abridged version of the prelims this year.
Say that again, sorry?
You guys will play. You guys are going to the knockouts this year for the Champions League.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, sure. UEFA's weird. I don't pretend to know about.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, the World Cup. We've been on the debate list on the show before, but the World Cup draw is significantly more weird. We'll go on to Hamilton Academical 0, Celtic 6. Jacinta Galabatarach, she was a second half sub for the girls, but she did contribute to Celtic's 6th goal. It was an own goal off her deflected cross. Kiwi international Olivia Chance got 90 minutes there and scored Celtic's first in the 22nd. The other results there were Partick Thistle 0, Hibernian 2, Spartans 0, Motherwell 1, Rangers 4, Aberdeen 0. As we mentioned, Rangers v Glasgow City on the 8th of May, which will be hopefully broadcast on NITV, because I know that we have
I've heard some games.
Yeah, I've heard some broadcast on SBS here. So very, very interesting. I'm not sure if we get them in Scots Gaelic or we get them in English, but either way, I will most likely be tuning into that. And then last week of the season is the 15th of May, which is the Old Firm Derby at Excelsior Stadium, which should be an absolute banger, of course. Moving on,
Yeah, just quickly, with the league, there's only the three rounds left to play. What happens after that, Aoife, for the rest of the team? I mean, obviously, it's not just the league that they're playing in there. There's Champions League stuff that goes on as well. But what will happen to most of your team? Do they take a break for a wee while? Do they head off to different places?
So once the league's over, we have a cup game then. We don't know who against yet, but that's on the 26th of May. And then we get 4 weeks off, I think, which is the longest I think I've ever had off. Lucky I'll be doing rehab. So, so then come back in the 4th of July, start preparing for Champions League. So that gives us like 6 weeks.
I assume most of the girls will be coming back tan from Dubai or the South of Italy or
from
somewhere
Spain.
like that.
Greece, yeah. I'll be as pale as ever, so.
Yeah.
That's hardly fair. Surely they would just hang out with you back home.
No, all my friends are leaving me, and yeah. Although I have to say the Glasgow sun is not bad. When it's hot, it's good. So
Hey, I've got another really important question as well. What do you miss most about Australia in terms of the food or confectionery? Because this is the kind of question that Eric really dreams about. He loves the whole conversations about food, and I don't know what's available in Scotland that's what's not available in Scotland that we have here. And
you mean like Aussie snacks?
Yep.
Do you know what? I did have a craving for shapes the other day, and I managed to get some. But yeah, I wouldn't say. I think Scotland's got some decent snacks. So I think, I think I don't really crave Aussie snacks or miss them.
So you're not missing anything because Scotland's got better snacks, is what you're saying?
Yeah, Scotland has some top tier snacks. So
that's good to hear. Hey, and the other thing that we should have said, we always give our mate Groups a shout out because she is such a massive part of the women's football space, but she's got plenty of Scottish heritage as well. So she'll be very pleased to hear that you're playing over there and enjoying the snacks. And I don't know, maybe you can speak fancy Scottish words together or something or other. Sorry, Dale, no. Keep talking about more important things.
That's all right. I'll do my best. So no games in France this weekend, and just, I don't know, could have been a protest. I think it was actually because the election was on. Then we moved to Italy, Milan 6, Pomigliano 2. Ella Mastrantonio got 11 minutes off the bench. No time for Ivy Lewick, unfortunately. Pomigliano are now 8th in the league out of, I believe, 12. So not looking like they'll go down at this stage. There are 2 rounds to play there.
Did I see maybe Celeste Bure got a goal for Milan?
Oh,
I think perhaps
like
she
Milan.
Did. I saw a clip, and I'm pretty sure it was her long plait ponytail that was on the end of a cross.
Played for.
She's with AC Milan at the moment.
She never played for Canberra. Am I? Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll claim that as being Aussie enough.
Moving to Serbia, we did have Crvena Zvezda 1, Spartak Subotica 2. Vesna Milivojevic got on the score sheet there. Moving to America, Emily Van Egmond.
Did we miss Netherlands as well?
I did. I saw the Netherlands result. Didn't see any Amy Harrison on the team sheet, unfortunately, but PSV did go down in the cup final 2-1 to Ajax, which is a bit of a bummer. But yeah, no Amy Harrison on the score sheet there. They look to be... PSV look to have not necessarily a second string team, but they look to have a number of players who they've been specifically using in the cup. They had their reserve goalkeeper and a couple of other players, which I thought was quite interesting. Maybe concentrating on the league, but who knows, another coaching staff. On to the United States. Emily Van Egmond got a start and 90 minutes for San Diego against OL Reign in a 1-1 draw. The semi-finals are coming up in the NWSL Challenge Cup. That'll see OL Reign versus Washington and Kansas City versus North Carolina this Thursday, and then the final is next week. We should mention that there is a She Plays NWSL competition. If fantasy football is your vibe, find that at the usual, I think it's just sheplays.com.au, and then follow the links to beat me at fantasy sport once again. And I should probably go through the big news of the week, the Champions League results as well.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure if we mentioned those, but semi-final time, Barcelona 5, Wolfsburg 1. Barcelona absolutely doing away with Wolfsburg in front of about 95.5 billion people at the Camp Nou. Another incredible result and another incredible crowd for Barca. 2 goals for Alexia Putellas, 1 each for Bon Mati, Graham Hansen and Hermoso, and a goal for Jill Roord. The other game was Lyon 3, PSG 2. That was at Stade de Lyon in France. Marie-Antoinette Toto got the scoring started for PSG before Wendy Renard scored a penalty, and Katerina Macario scored 2 goals either side of half-time to make it 3-1. And then Paulina Dudek scored a penalty on the hour mark for PSG. Obviously, the next legs are next week. They'll be at I believe that's at the Volkswagen Arena in Wolfsburg, and then the other game I think is at the Parc des Princes for PSG versus Lyon. But looking increasingly likely, like we'll see a Barcelona-Lyon final, which will go off like a frog in a blender.
Thank you, Dale.
That's the result.
Before we move on to Nordic football, where Steffen's going to take us through all of that, Aoife, I didn't ask you before, but do you have an allegiance aside of playing? Are you think Barcelona's the bee's knees, or you've always been an Arsenal fan, or like poor Dale, an Everton fan or something like that?
Oh, Dale, I hate to break it to you, but
I go through this all the time. It's okay.
I'm a Liverpool fan, so just to make your day even better.
Well, look, it can't get any worse.
Hey, now I've forgotten.
We're horrible this season, so I don't. And I mean, your Liverpool women are going to be playing in the top tier next
Promoted,
year, so
yes.
It's going to be fantastic to see. Yeah.
Unreal for them.
Hopefully, Everton's men are playing in the top tier. That would be a great place. But no, that's really interesting. It's obviously Liverpool, very big, huge fan base over here. So not surprising at all to hear that you're a Liverpool fan.
Well, actually, my mum was born in Liverpool, and then Dad's been a Liverpool fan ever since he was wee. So yeah, that's where that comes from. Yeah, I used to have.
I'm a Watford fan, but I don't. Sorry, I was just saying I'm a Watford fan, but I don't think it helps me at all. Probably worse than Everton. Never mind. Steffen, would you please do the honours and take us around the Nordic games, and feel free to throw to Aoife for some ad lib if she knows, particularly, I mean, Carly's in there, and I don't know who else is in there that you may have come across.
Yeah, we'll start with Carly. Thanks, Cheryl. Yeah, there are a ton of Aussies over in the Nordic leagues at the moment, so let's go through them. In Norway, in top Syrian round 5, Carly played the last half hour of LSK Kvinna's 1-1 draw against bottom side Roa. It was a bit lucky for LSK. It was the first point for the visitors, and the visitors also missed a penalty. But what was good to see was that Carly played half an hour, and this means I think that her foot soreness is improving. So hopefully we'll get to see more and more Carly Rosbacken. So she had a massive year, Aoife, the year in 2018 as well with you in that same team. So got to say, really enjoyed seeing you both play that year. It was fabulous. Over at Vålerenga, where Ali Green is signed, they won 2-0 against Kolbotn, and there's a huge midweek clash coming up between Carly's team and Ali Green's team. Ali Green wasn't on the match card, but perhaps she'll make the card for this midweek game, which would be quite spicy, I think, then, if they were to play each other. So something to look forward to.
Should I just play Eric's part here and go, why are we talking about Ali Green when she now plays for New Zealand?
She's not
yes, thank you very much. Thank you for that.
This is what Eric always does with you, Aoife.
I did notice, so I think it's the Irish national team has 2 Quins with the first name L.
Yeah.
And New Zealand will now have 2 Greens with the first name A as well. So.
Oh, that's good.
Look, it gets even worse, because I'm also talking about Fiona Wirtz not appearing on for LSK Kvinna, and she's not even an Aussie. But anyway,
it's all just about football, women's football. Right. We love it. Doesn't matter.
That's right. Over at Sweden, where it was also round 5, just overnight, Tegan Micah and Charlie Grant played for Rosengard. This is always the biggest game of the competition. Their game against BK Häcken. They had a 2-2 draw overnight. Tegan played a whole game and Charlie came on as a sub. Katrina Gorry played a full game for Vitsio in their 3-0 away win against AIK, which is Remy Simpson's new team. So Minnie played the game. Claire Polkinghorn's got some toe soreness, I think. So wasn't involved in that one. And Remy Simpson also played the full 90 minutes in the second game. And Hammarby, who are currently 8th, where Courtney Nevin has found a new home. They had a 2-0 home win against 10th place Umea. Courtney came on as a sub in the 72nd minute. And as yet, there is no sign of Kyra Cooney-Cross, but she will be joining them soon, I think. And in the second tier in Sweden, where Annie Haffenden is playing with Vecco, they had a 1-0 away win against the previously unbeaten Malbackens and are topping the league, which is great. And Annie was an unused sub for that game. moving through to Denmark, some big news in Denmark where Fortuna Køring, by virtue of their 1-1 away draw with Kolding Q, can't be caught in second position for the championship round robin, and that means they've qualified for the Champions League. So
insert cheering.
Yeah, so that's great news. All three Aussies started in their game, so that's Angie Beard, Indy Riley, and Claire Wheeler. Indy was subbed at half-time, and Angie received a cheese slice yellow card at just before full time. So going great guns there.
I'm sure she didn't deserve it though.
I haven't seen any footage, but you're probably right. Yes. Good news too for Jenna McCormick over at AGF. They're taking part in the promotion relegation round robin 10-game series there. And in Jenna's return game, she'd missed a couple of games as well with some ankle soreness. She scored in the second minute of her return match. So that was good. And
insert more cheering.
Yes. That was a 5-0 away win to Odense. And they're in second place in that competition and looking pretty good, I think, for returning to the making sure they come back into the top league. So, and finally in Iceland, the competition starts tonight. The three Aussies in the Revels deal do not start playing until tomorrow night though, and that's Melina Ayres with Breidablik. And Susan Fonson-Cam and Margot Chevet with KR Reykjavik. So we'll be reporting next week on how they went in their first games.
As always, a top wrap of the Nordic leagues. Thank you very much for that, Steffen. We've got a little bit of stuff that we'll talk about state football, but maybe we'll rip through that quickly as we've got quite a long pod already. But Eric's not here. Thank God, because we'll save 20 minutes. Steffen, did you want to talk through the ACT results?
Yep, I'll rip through it quickly. As you said, some good games in this one. It was a top of the ladder clash, well, 2 versus 3. Canberra Olympic triumphed 3-2 over Belconnen United. Pretty close game. A couple of penalties. Couple of penalties decided that one, but Ashley Sykes got Canberra Olympic up by 2 goals the first half, and Belconnen did really well to get back to 2-2 in the second half, and then a late penalty saw Canberra Olympic over the line, and they did that without Michaela Thornton, who was playing futsal over in an international competition, which I'll mention a bit later as well. Tuggeranong United had a 5-0 loss against Canberra Croatia at home. West Canberra won 2-0 at home against Glasgow City, and that the game I was at, so you can see the write-up on the Beyond 90 website. Canberra United Academy had their first win, 4-0 over Gungahlin United. Gungahlin were probably the most affected by that futsal comp, where 5 ACT players have gone over to play. So 2 of their key midfielders, the DeMarco sisters, weren't in that Gungahlin side, but nonetheless, it's really good for the academy to get their first win. There's a couple of Federation Cup games on tonight. The academy against Tuggeranong United and Belconnen versus ANU. And tomorrow night, there's also the round 1 catch-up game between West Canberra and Gungahlin United. So lots happening for Gungahlin this week and the academy, to be honest.
Thank you, Steffen. Dale, can you do an Eric impersonation and run through very nice and quickly the New South Wales results, if you wish? No, he doesn't.
Here are my 400 favourite things about futsal. 1. Okay. Saturday. Northwestern Sydney Spirit 1, Northern Tigers 2. That was at Christie Park. Northwestern Sydney Spirit used to be called the Northwestern Sydney Koalas and used to have the best logo in Australian football. Unfortunately, now they have neither. Blacktown Spartans 0, Manly United 0. That was at Blacktown Football Park. Bankstown City 1, Sydney Olympic 2. Fantastic game despite the weather. Bankstown looked pretty good for the points until about 20 minutes to go. Then Sydney Olympic came back and snatched it right at the end. Really interested to see the difference that Courtney Vine has made for that Sydney Olympic team since coming back from a little break after the A-League women's season. RPL Leichhardt 3, Illawarra Stingrays 1. That was at Randwick Park. There are 2 games being played this week. Blacktown Spartans 1, Sydney University 0. That's actually live now, so Can't say what the result will be there because we don't have future radio. And then Football New South Wales Academy play Blacktown, maybe? Unsure. But there's another make-up game that's being played on the Thursday. Read about all of those things in my preview, in my review, please. Please, I need tips.
Dale, thank you very much. Cool. And I think this is Eric playing tit for tat with me as well, because I'd written something about the number of women coaches we have in the Victorian Women's Premier League. We have 3 out of the 8 teams. So therefore we beat New South Wales because you've only got 2. Yeah, really nice. Good. I like that. Sorry. Not that I'm parochial at all. In Queensland, Madge, how many women coaches do you have in the league?
You know what? I haven't done the rounds. I think Gold Coast might have a women's coach at the moment. But I did watch the feed, but I'm not quite sure who it is because it's very hard to find information online about some of the lineups sometimes. So I will go and do the homework and double check. But I know Lions and Capalaba both have their same coaches from last year, but I will double check on the other teams. But anyway, it was actually some 4 games in round 2 of the NPL in Queensland this week. Lions didn't have it all their own way against Souths United. Souths put up a really good fight against the star-studded Lions team, but Lions still got the job done 1-0. With a kind of messy goal at the end of the day, but I think South, there's some really good connections there happening between Ki Katano, who played for Brisbane last season, and also Isabella Habuda, who's come back to NPLW in Queensland after being with the Wanderers this last season. So I think South should be going okay this season. Sunshine Coast Wanderers beat Brisbane Olympic 1-0. And then the last 2 games, it was all about stoppage time goals. Capalaba went ahead early thanks to a penalty that Billy Murphy put away early in the second half, but then Gold Coast in stoppage time off the corner. I think it was Ellie Fryer got it in pretty much close to the last kick of the game. But then, not to be outdone, the Queensland Academy of Sport did a Matildas. They went down 1-0 to Moreton Bay United, but then 2 goals in stoppage time to bring home the win. So I love it. I love seeing the QAS go well. And that actually has them tied top of the ladder after 2 rounds with Queensland Lions. So well done, the QAS.
Terrific. Well, in Victoria, we're up to round 4 of 21. I've got a link in the show notes that we'll publish pretty soon to the full season guide, which I think is a pretty handy little thing that people can have. And it does have the details of the women's coaches, but also the teams, the history of the teams, and many other bits and pieces. But if you're wondering who the 3 coaches are, Kat Smith for Alamein, Caitlin Friend, who's been in and around the football space for quite a while at Bulleen Lions, and then Helen Winterburn at FV Emerging. So great to see that we've got not just a few women coaches, but top women's coaches. I think that's really terrific to see. In terms of results, I won't go through it in detail other than to say that Calder United went down to Heidelberg United, and that's kind of interesting. Calder have been one of the top teams for a number of seasons, and I'm not saying that Heidelberg weren't, but they weren't. Calder United has Harriet Withers in terms of key players that you might think about from the dub. Harriet Withers is there. Heidelberg United has Grace Jarley and Melissa Maisel, so a couple of players you may have heard of. Another match between South Melbourne and FV Emerging was postponed, but that's really interesting because South Melbourne at the moment are 8th on the table. We didn't have a season last season. I think in the season before we only got up to round 17 or something, and we didn't crown a champion or any such thing, but South Melbourne were on top. So it's really interesting to see them, a complete flip side at the bottom. But Tian McKenna and Claudia Mihojic is playing for South Melbourne. For FV Emerging, Sarah Kane, Caitlin Carriage, Bella Sewards and Miranda Templeman are all there. For Alamein, they had a 1-1 draw against Box Hill United. Alamein has Amy Jackson, Nia Stamatopoulos, and Box Hill United have Tegan Allen, Mindy Barbieri, and Sophia Sakalis. I'm not saying all the players. And then finally, Bayside United went down 0-7 against the Bulleen Lions, who are rated top of the table at the moment. For Bulleen, they have Tiff Eliadis, Gabriella Garton, who was the goalkeeper in the previous season that Melbourne Victory won, before she took a season off and had a baby, I believe. Alana Janchevsky, Leah Privatelli, Rebecca Stott, Tyler J. Vlanich, and Paige Zoyce. So they're pretty stacked in terms of their players, and one would expect them to go quite well. Let's finish up the podcast now and run through our Queens of the Week. Aoife, I'll give you a little moment so you get a gist of what we're doing, and you can throw in as many Queens, Kings, or non-binary people as you wish if you're happy to, or you can just take a pass and say, I'm not keen. Eric has already thrown his in there. So Claudia Cholakian, I'm sorry, Claudia, if I've not pronounced that very well, from NPL New South Wales side Sydney Olympic, because one, she scored an 89th minute winner on Sunday against Blacktown City, but two, she received her second cap for Armenia in the most recent international window, which means that we will be covering her non-stop now, I'm sure. Dale, did you want to jump in with your royalty of the week?
Of course. The one and only Wendy Renard, Lyon and France centre half, one of my favourite female footballers in the entire world, became the first woman to make 100 appearances in the Women's Champions League and UEFA Women's Cup. Scored a pretty cool penalty to equalise for Lyon against PSG on the weekend. And yeah, from all reports, a pretty wonderful human being. So my Queen of the Week.
Very nice. Madge, did you want to throw one in?
Yeah, I'm going to keep with the Champions League theme and go with Carolyn Graham Hansen for her filthy goal against Wolfsburg. It was just that little cutback on the full run. It was beautiful.
That defender is still sliding down the streets of Barcelona.
That's wonderful. Go look it up.
Very harsh. But do we like her because didn't she score against the Matildas way back in 2019 and made my life sad?
I don't recall that game ever occurring.
Just enjoy the pain when it's that good.
Steffen, what about yourself?
I got two Queens this week. One I mentioned before, Michaela Thornton, who's Canberra football royalty, really, in the women's football scene here. She scored her first international goal in 16 years. So the last time was on grass, and this time she scored in the Pro Futsal tournament against Indonesia. So and was tickled pink, I got to say. So there's also
I've seen that goal actually.
Yeah,
was it the one? I don't know how she managed that, but
yeah, left foot right down on the byline. It was quite amazing, wasn't it? Yeah, cool. So check it out. It's on Michaela's Instagram account if anyone's following her. And my second Queen of the Week is Sammy Wood, who's an ex-junior and young Matilda. Played for the Newcastle Jets and also Canberra United around 2012, I think, but is known more recently as a Super W Brumbies player and also a rugby league player. She quietly signed for Tuggeranong United in the NPL competition here in the last week during the Super W off-season. So her first game was against Canberra, Croatia last Friday, and that marks a return to football at age 30 after 6 years. So well done, Sammy, and that's terrific that you've gotten back to the game. It's one of your first loves by the sound of it. So well deserved.
30 sounds so young to me. Aoife's probably thinking 30 sounds so old, but
it's all downhill from there.
No, no. Aoife, I turned 21 recently. I was like, nah, I need to stop growing.
Happy birthday. 21 is just don't bother counting after that. It works quite well for us.
I think 25 will be downhill after that. So
no, you'll have plenty of good years, and then
I hope so.
Aoife, have you been following the gist of what we're doing, and do you have your own Queen of the Week, someone that you'd like to give a shout out to for something superb that they did in football or something good, or shout out to your mum as you wish?
I'll give a shout out. As we were talking about Sam Kerr, one of my pals over here, the other Sam Kerr, was the first women to score at Ibrox Stadium. So although she's a rival, I think that's a pretty cool achievement. So
yeah, I like that. That sounds really good. All right. Well, I don't have a Queen of the Week this week. I haven't done my homework. I don't know what's been going on, but I will give a shout out to a rumour. And we don't normally talk rumours because we like our information to be well substantiated, but rumours about Caitlin Ford and potentially heading to Juventus. So I don't know. It could be a 2% chance. Who knows? But how interesting would that be with Joe Montemuro at the helm?
That is a hot piece of gossip, Shez. That is hot gossip.
It was on the Twitter, so it must be almost real. Elon owns the Twitter now, and it's all real stuff. All right, well, we'll wait and see if and when that happens. Who knows? But thank you so much, Aoife, for being on the podcast with it. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Hopefully you did as well. But, you know, come back if you have enjoyed it. We wish you all the very best for your surgery in a couple of days and plenty of good wishes from us for your recovery. I hope you get plenty of love and support from your team and your family around you.
Yeah, no, thank you guys, all of you. It's been very nice. Good chat.
Good. Thank you. And thank you to all of my co-hosts as well. Steffen, always great to get your Nordic updates. Madge and Dale, you've kept me going straight. I appreciate it. Eric, we love you as much as we've given you so much stick tonight. We absolutely love you. And we look forward to you coming back because then we can give stick to your face directly, which is just as much fun. On behalf of myself and the entire team at Beyond 90, thank you all so much for watching or for listening to us. And we look forward to chatting to you again next week with episode 94. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.